Get those things out of here before someone gets hurt. That's what our HOA president said about my dogs on Tuesday. By Friday, she was doing things I never thought a neighbor would do. You see, she had no clue that my German Shepherds weren't normal pets. She thought their weird silence meant they were broken or spurred. She was wrong. Dead wrong. When you threaten my family, you'd better pray those pets are just pets. This is how one woman learned that lesson the hard way. Listen, I've lived through enough real wars to recognize when someone's declaring a fake one on my family. And when Victoria Allen showed up at our door Tuesday morning, wearing that kind of smirk people use when they're about to wreck your peaceful existence, I knew exactly what was coming. Clipboard in hand, backed up by her cousin Derek, who was filming everything like he was about to win an Oscar for Best Snitch. The whole thing just screamed amateur hour. But if I've learned anything, it's that amateurs with a grudge can cause professional-level misery if you let your guard down. Mr. Brooks, she says, with that fake authority that only folks who've never really held power use. I'm here about your dogs. She went on about complaints, about aggressive breeds violating insurance standards, all that. Derek's over there, zooming in on Rex and Shadow, hoping to catch a snarl, anything that looked scary. All he got was two German Shepherds giving him that polite, slightly bored stare, like, buddy, you're not even worth barking at. My wife Sophia steps into the doorway, and I watch Victoria's eyes flick to her, then back to the dogs, who, no accident, instantly adjust position, quietly flanking Sophia like a unit. It looked like a cozy family moment, but it was all protection, covering approach angles, locking down exit routes. Derek's narrating for his camera. See? Look, classic aggressive behavior. Which was hysterical, because the only aggression in the room was his own paranoia. These beautiful animals will need to be relocated within 14 days, Victoria announces, settling into her speech, and Derek chimes in. Yeah, we researched German Shepherds. They're basically ticking time bombs. Rex just cocks his head at him, curious in a way that made Derek visibly uncomfortable. Sophia was a picture of self-control. Gentlemen, she says, I understand your concerns, but Rex and Shadow are exceptionally well-trained. Maybe we could talk this over once everyone's had a chance to actually review the regulations. Totally calm, but I could tell she was mentally recording every detail for later. Victoria wasn't there to talk. Ma'am, this isn't a negotiation. This is a legal notification of violation and required compliance. Derek steps closer, thinking proximity would win the day. Wrong move. What he missed, but Victoria didn't, was how Rex and Shadow subtly shifted, focusing in, no growling, just calmly assessing. Derek took 2 steps back, without even realizing why. That's when Victoria's confidence wobbled. Her tactics usually worked. But these dogs, there was something else going on, and she didn't like not knowing what. Her warning as she left had an edge. She wasn't just a rules enforcer anymore. She was out for blood. Derek hung around after, trying his luck with intimidation gestures from the sidewalk. Rex and Shadow just watched him with that clinical, professional attention, as if they were noting weaknesses for a future test. That evening, Sophia and I debriefed while the dogs did their evening patrol. She's not stopping at paperwork, Sophia said. She's planning something systematic. She's gathering evidence, planning provocations. She wants to make the dogs look dangerous. And she was right. Derek was already plotting, convinced he could break them. What if they're not just pets? He'd asked Victoria. That question gnawed at her. Next morning, Derek brought out the big guns, literally. Industrial jackhammers, air compressors, the works, making noise that would make a normal dog lose its mind. He wanted chaos on camera. Instead, Rex and Shadow just watched. Didn't bark, didn't pace, just stood at their stations, monitoring, cool as ice. Derek kept cranking it up. Nothing. He got 0 minutes of usable attack dog footage and a growing suspicion he was outclassed. By Thursday, Victoria started digging. Property records, military housing history, old base newsletters. The deeper she went, the more nervous she got. And Derek's weekend assignment? Surveillance. Filming Sophia's walks with Rex and Shadow, watching them move in a pattern he couldn't understand. Hand signals, silent communication, perimeter patrols, like something out of a security manual, not a dog training book. Sunday night, Victoria's research paid off. She found a photo, Sophia, in uniform, flanked by Rex and Shadow in full Navy working dog gear. The caption, decorated handler, returning from overseas deployment. Victoria stared at that photo like she'd seen a ghost. Suddenly, all her failures made sense. Derek, we've been trying to intimidate Navy professionals, she whispered. But Derek? Dogs are dogs, right? Not these dogs. Monday, Victoria decided to escalate. She reached out to Derek's shadier contacts, hiring professionals to create real threats, just enough to provoke the dogs on camera. She lined up medical contacts to document any injuries, preparing for the legal kill shot. Their first attempt was textbook ugly. Two men approached Sophia and the dogs in the park. Nice dogs, be a shame if something happened to them, one sneered, while his buddy showed off a knife. What they didn't realize, they weren't dealing with a soccer mom and two pets. They were facing a military K9 team that had seen real combat. Sophia's voice went cold. Gentlemen, I strongly suggest you reconsider. The dogs moved as a unit. No aggression, just a wall of calculated control. The men backed off, visibly rattled. Derek, filming from the bushes, couldn't process what he'd just witnessed. Tactical discipline, not violence. But Victoria? She doubled down. When the criminals, desperate for their payday, filed a false police report about being attacked, Victoria finally had evidence. The cops got involved. City council heard about it. Derek started a petition, and the neighborhood divided overnight. Families who used to wave at us now crossed the street. The whispers grew. Those dogs hurt someone. Derek, emboldened, launched safety walks, filming parents avoiding our house, using fear like gasoline on a fire. But karma, as always, has a sense of humor. One morning, little Tommy Peterson, grandson of a Navy vet, snuck up to our fence, grinning, asking if he could pet the hero dogs his grandpa told him about. Rex and Shadow melted, tail wagging, nuzzling him gently. No threat, just kindness. His granddad, Sam, told anyone who'd listen, those dogs are the real deal. They protected my kind overseas. Suddenly, a counterpetition sprang up, signed by veterans and military families, pushing back against Derek's campaign. Victoria panicked, pushing Derek to sabotage Sophia's landscaping business, warning her clients about dangerous dogs. It worked for a while. People dropped contracts. Sophia's spirits tanked. I found her out back some nights, questioning if we should pack up and leave again, like we'd done before. But she decided to fight. She set up a public K9 demonstration in the park, showing exactly who Rex and Shadow were. Military professionals with discipline, bite inhibition, and skills that belonged on a battlefield, not a back alley. Parents brought their kids, watched the dogs guide them through the crowd, finding hidden objects, never showing an ounce of aggression. Derek, coached by Victoria to stage a dramatic outburst, ended up crashing through a table of refreshments, mustard all over his shirt, while the dogs calmly protected the children. By the time Victoria's hired security arrived, dressed like they were about to raid a cartel, it was obvious. Her story wasn't sticking. Even the security team was confused. This was a family event, not a crisis. Parents started asking why armed guards were at a dog demo. At the emergency HOA meeting, Victoria packed the room with fake residents and her security detail, waving blown-up photos, police reports, anything to look official. But real neighbors called her out, exposing her plants with basic questions about the neighborhood. When Derek tried to physically restrain Sophia, shouting about citizens' arrest, Rex and Shadow moved so fast, so coordinated, that Derek found himself surrounded, pleading for help from the very dogs he'd spent weeks trying to frame. That's when Sophia dropped her cover. I'm Navy military police. These are retired working dogs. The room froze. Parents watched as the dogs shifted into protection mode, calmly herding children to safety, never once crossing the line. Victoria broke down, confessing her ignorance about real military, while Derek sobbed out apologies, covered in the remains of his own failed stunts, admitting everything, fraud, fake victims, the whole scam, on live stream. Law enforcement showed up, immediately recognizing what Victoria never could. These were professionals, not pets. Charges stacked up, conspiracy, fraud, endangerment, you name it. Derek got animal shelter duty. Victoria was stuck picking up trash in the very park she tried to weaponize against us, while Rex and Shadow became heroes, school visits, veteran events, community safety programs. The HOA, dissolved, replaced with a veteran council actually interested in serving the neighborhood. Never mistake kindness for weakness. That's a lesson Victoria's learning every day she picks up trash while the dogs she tried to destroy play fetch with the kids they saved. And if you ever wonder if justice is real, sometimes, folks, it looks like two German shepherds sleeping at your feet and a bully cleaning up your backyard. Let me know in the comments. Did Victoria get what she deserved? Ever seen karma hit like that? Drop your stories. And hey, if this fired you up, hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around. Because the next story, you're not going to believe how far some folks will go and how sweet payback can be.